We may see the fullback position return to WVU football in a big bad way moving forward in the Rich Rod 2.0 era. Let's talk about it. What's going on, Mountaineer Nation? Welcome back into the Country Roads Webcast as we have a fun WVU football discussion to talk about today, triggered by Rich Rodriguez on his own coach's show this week, bringing it to light, and it's a fun topic to talk about as a position that used to be prevalent in this offense may be making a return here moving forward, and it's going to be fun to talk about that. But before we get to it, just a quick reminder, if you would, take a second, hit that thumbs up button here on the video. That little like button will really help us out a ton with that YouTube algorithm, help this video find more Mountaineer football fans like yourself. And if you're one of those that hasn't yet, be sure to hit that subscribe button. Doesn't cost you anything, and you get these videos directly into your feed. Stay up to date on the WVU sports news, the roster, the recruiting news, transfer portal news, all of that good stuff here we keep you up to date with on the CRW. And if that's not enough, you can hit that join button down below. Help us out, help me keep this mic recording, that camera rolling, and get a ton of bonus content, including player grades every week, snap counts every week, film reviews, and a ton of extra bonus content there for channel members, which we appreciate you guys as well. Having said that, with no further ado, let's talk about the fullback position potentially returning to WVU. Where does this come from? As I teased up there, Rich Rod mentioning it on his coaching show. Let's play a clip from that coach's show and hear him say it himself.
Is I want a fullback. Believe it or not, we don't.
Excuse me. Wait a second. What?
Yeah, I want a fullback. An Owen Schmidt type of fullback, and in fact, I want two of them. And a lot of times you'll find a linebacker or a defensive lineman that plays both fullback and that. And so we're actively looking for those, and we need one. And they can play the role in the short yardage, running back, all that kind of stuff. So there are other guys too that we're recruiting that maybe could play linebacker and running back or wide receiver, DB, and. Why not? This day and age, let's find what we can find.
Okay, so let's talk about you wanting a fullback. Obviously, you used one in the past. Why? What do you want to do that you're not able to do?
I want to hurt somebody. like not me hurt him, but like when Owen Schmidt would play, he would break his face mask and hurt himself, but he would hurt them more often.
Yes.
And you hate, it's like somebody going into a boxing match with somebody that just throws punches nonstop. You hate to fight that guy, right?
Right.
And that's what I want to be. I want to be the guy, the team that you hate to play because they just keep throwing punches. Not literally, but football punches. And a 245-pound fullback that's going to put his face in the fan and just every snap, people don't want to see that.
So there you hear it. Rich Rod not wanting just one fullback, but wanting multiple. So it's something that we're going to keep an eye on moving forward as we cover recruiting here and seeing who could maybe fit into that role. But what brought that discussion to light, what came prior to that, was him talking about Curtis Jones playing on both sides of the football. And so he mentioned, looking at guys on defense right now that could maybe play that type of role for West Virginia as potentially being a fullback. And so that brought me to wanting to look at some guys on the roster that can maybe fit into that role. I think, before we look at defensive guys, which I did have a couple pulled up here that we can highlight. Let me pull up the roster here. Let's look at the tight end position because there or at least one guy on the roster that was a fullback under the previous regime, and that would be Colin McBee. Now, he's a little bit undersized, more so than for what Rich Rod was talking about there, because he's 6 foot 236, but he's definitely a prime candidate there, to potentially be a fullback if they do start trying to incorporate that into the offense more, short yardage situations and such, as he mentioned. I think Noah Braham would be an interesting candidate to look at it there as well, 6'3", 245, so that's right along the size that Rich Rod was talking about. And then, of course, somebody that, when you're talking about guys that could potentially play either offense or defense, Carter Zuliani fits into that category. We thought he was going to come in and play D-end. He's been in the tight end room, and he has that size. Can you imagine him there? 6'6", 254 is what he stands at right now. Imagine him coming downhill as one of those blocking fullbacks that Rich Rod is talking about there. And then on the defensive side, I do want to mention a couple that maybe could potentially be guys that he's thinking about there. I don't know, but I think they would fit in for sure. We obviously Curtis Jones we're talking about now. I think he's gonna be more in a halfback, running back role this season, but you never know what could happen for him in the future. He could definitely be a two-way player for sure. But then what about Keenan Eck, someone we haven't seen this season? He has great athleticism. He's 6'4", 213. He would need a little bit more muscle to take on that type of role. But then if you want to really, get big with it, you could go more like the defensive line route and get someone like a like an Adam Tomczyk. He hasn't played a lot this season, coming from the JUCO ranks, but 6'3", 261. Him coming downhill as a fullback, that would be interesting. So, just some guys to keep an eye on if West Virginia does ever try and employ that maybe this season, or if they try and make a position change and use one of those guys as more of a fullback moving forward. But we'll keep an eye on the recruiting class and see if any of the guys coming in maybe mold into that, as we know that's something they're actively looking for, or maybe some guys they add later in the process will fit that role. But I think it's exciting. We've seen the usage of a ton of tight ends this year. Rich Rod's probably going to continue that, but going to add fullback back into the mix as well, it sounds like. And we know how, as he mentioned there in the video clip there from his coach's show, Owen Schmidt and what he did in this offense, playing a type of role like that. And if we get someone else in here that could break face masks and be that aggressive and have that hard edge mentality at playing the fullback, coming downhill on short yardage and such, that could definitely lead us to success in the future. But what are your thoughts? Do you have anyone in mind on the current roster that could maybe take on that role, or a recruit that we're bringing in that you got your eye on that maybe, hey, that could be a fullback of the future? How are you feeling about the position coming back in general? Anything you got there, throw it in the comment section. Always appreciate those interactions as we continue to try and grow the CRW community throughout YouTube here and throughout Mountaineer Nation. Appreciate you guys checking out this one. We'll come back and talk to you guys soon here in the near future. Until next time, let's go Mountaineers.